Hey my friends, welcome back to Frog Boy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today I've got an interesting question for you guys. How the hell am I so wrong about AMD Radeon, but then everybody else is so right about the market and everything else? It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm going to do my best to try to explain my thoughts on this today and kind of come at you as a real gamer, as a real consumer, as somebody that's bought both NVIDIA, bought both an AMD, who still plays on console. I have a PlayStation 5 Pro and Xbox Series X, and I love playing video games. So I want to come at you from a different point of view. And, you know, a lot of this stems, it's not just from the hardware unbox thing that I watched today. I watched them and how they were talking about Radeon toward the end. How if Radeon doesn't do this or they do something like that, then if they basically said if AMD doesn't pull it off this generation with RDNA 4, then they are finished. And I get and I understand a lot of what they're saying, but I also look at it as like, these dudes haven't paid for a graphics card in probably so long. It's crazy. And to think that me, somebody that just came to the damn PC market just over 2 years ago. Well, it's probably been closer to 3 now, to be completely honest with you. It's almost been 3 years now. So as somebody that's just brand new in the PC market, in this hyperinflated state that it's been in the last couple of years, I think I need to chime in because I don't feel like these guys are in touch with the rest of us gamers that actually have to spend our real money on graphics cards these days. Now, it does make it tough. And I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that like NVIDIA is like, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you NVIDIA is bad. No, they're the best for a reason. They literally just made DLSS 4 compatible with all their freaking RTX cards from the 20 series all the way forward. That's massive. It is massive. And for those of you that love DLSS and think it's the best thing ever, it just got better. And who can argue with that? Like, nobody can argue with that. The fact that AMD is going to be bringing FSR4, which is machine learning, to RDNA 4 cards, that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, me personally, I've kind of been on and off and on with the whole upscaling and all of that. Like, I thought, you know, and this is what I was told, and I think this is what all gamers are told. We're told that our consoles suck. Okay, and we're going to talk about consoles for a minute. We're told that our consoles suck because they have to use all this fakeness and all of this stuff. They don't run at high refresh rate, blah, blah, blah. You know, the whole 9 yards. It's just an inferior way to play a video game. We're just wasting our money. We're spinning around in circles when we could get an entry-level PC and all of our worries would go away. Okay, so guys, I was sitting here yesterday and I was getting ready to make my Spider-Man 2 PlayStation 5 Pro versus PC video. And I get in there and I start on the PlayStation 5 Pro first. And I get in there and I'm like, wow, this is impressive. I'm playing the game and I'm looking at the visual quality. And mind you, I'd already played Spider-Man 2 on PC the day before. So yesterday I get home from work and I'm sitting there and I'm just playing a bunch of, you know, Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. And I'm just feeling the experience. And I'm like, wow, this looks pretty good. And the cuts that they made and the specific fine tuning that goes into the console version of this game. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, the textures look good. The environment looks good. The overall game, it's like, wow, this is impressive. And then I get over onto the PC version and I literally max everything out. We're talking everything. Ultra crowd density, ultra freaking everything. The full 9 yards, full ray tracing, maxed out to 10, everything. And here's the thing that like literally clicked in my brain right when I did that. I was like, that shit on PlayStation 5 Pro looked good, played good, and I was like, damn impressed. I was like, wow, this is fun. And then I turn on the PC version and everything is just cranked up to unbelievable, unrealistic, just like, oh my gosh, this is just way too much. I can't believe I said that. I said that. I'm like, way too much. And it got me thinking. And it got me like, that's why I didn't really put out a video yesterday, because it got me thinking. I was like, man, I need to think about this video. This video needs to hit. This video needs to do good. And this video needs to resonate with other gamers like myself. And I sit there and I started thinking about this, and I started going back and thinking about the experience with DLSS. I started thinking about the experience on other PC games where everything is just cranked up, and I'm sitting here. Don't get me wrong, I fully enjoy it. I fully enjoy having the power to just fully max everything out and just see games at like what their absolutely best state can be. But then it also got me thinking, I'm like, if a damn console, a PS5 Pro, can impress me this much and literally deliver a fun, playable experience at a decent frame rate, at 60 frames a second, and just be a good experience and still look good, and like when you get over to the PC version, it just looks like way over the top, and you're thinking to yourself, you're like, okay, wait a minute. And then I tried Ultra Performance on the PC version, Ultra Performance FSR 3.1, and I was looking at that, and that kind of brings it down a little bit closer to, I mean, still significantly looks better than the PlayStation 5 Pro with PSSR, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, wow, dude, this is interesting, having that ability to just transcend so many different levels on the PC. And it got me thinking. I was like, okay, PlayStation 5 Pro is literally built on RDNA 2, 3, 4, whatever. It's built on the AMD stack, and the game already impressed me right there. So now I've got the ability to have the fully maxed out AMD experience and fully push everything. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, wow, AMD hardware scales very, very well. It does. Now, I think that over this last couple of days or whatever, you know, with the launch of the 50 series, seeing, you know, the performance uptick of just like 8% to 20% or whatever over, you know, what I've already got, you know, the better ray tracing performance, all of that stuff, like all of this stuff is going to absolutely matter in the near future. Like ray tracing is absolutely going to matter. AMD does need to get that right, for sure. They do need to have a competitive ray tracing prop, or at least on par. Okay, they either need to create their own and have developers put it into their own games or something to really maximize. Because when I'm looking at Spider-Man and I'm still at 120 frames a second at 4K, and I'm using FSR and all of that stuff, and the game's feeling great, feeling smooth, and looking significantly better than it does on the console, I'm like, this is doing ray tracing. Like, I'm getting ray tracing. I mean, I'm getting ray tracing on the level that they said that you need a 4090 for, and I'm still at a very playable frame rate, utilizing frame generation and FSR and all of that stuff. I am at a good enough experience to where I can fully enjoy this, and I don't feel like I'm losing any image quality. In fact, I'm looking at it, and I put out a video last night, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, damn, this looks sharp, this looks crisp, this looks highly defined. And I'm like, okay, so what really does AMD need to do to compete? Because all you hear about right now, out there right now, all you hear about is DLSS 4, DLSS this, neural rendering, multi-frame generation. Even though AMD or NVIDIA literally just did a paper launch, they did a paper launch, you know, like you couldn't even buy one. Like, you had to be like super lucky to even buy one. Trust me, I got so frustrated with it that I'm like, dude, I'm not even gonna chase it. I'm not even gonna chase it. I'm gonna buy the stuff that I want, that I can buy right now for my sim racing equipment. I'm not going to put that on hold anymore to wait for these graphics cards. We knew that these cards were coming out at the first of the year. I was like, I'm not going to put the things that I want right now on hold to wait for these GPUs. I'm not going to do that. Especially not for NVIDIA. If they can't put enough product out there for me to buy one to help build the channel and help build the community, I'm going to focus that money towards something that actually can build the community. Give me something to talk about, give me something to use. I mean, I've got a Assetto Corsa Evo that I have barely even been able to cover just because I want to use the Fanatec, but my 330 millimeter R rim is just a bit much for that. I wanted something smaller, so I got the GT3 rim, and I'm excited about that. Like, I'm super excited about that. I hope it gets here next week. So I decided, you know, I mean, you look at the way that everybody badmouths AMD, and to be fair, all of them are out there completely trashing NVIDIA for this, but all of them know that but the way that they trash AMD, like right after or in the same video or something like that, it's like, why are you guys trashing AMD? Like, you can literally go buy an AMD 7900 XTX right now. Like, you could do that. And I do recommend that. I absolutely do recommend an AMD GPU. I think that you'll be satisfied for the most part. I think some of you would absolutely be satisfied and blown away. But then I think some of you guys are just, I really do. I think some of you guys are just so to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, NVIDIA, I got to have these features. It's just end all be all. And I get it, man. Like, I get it. I completely understand that. And, you know, honestly, if that's your feeling about it, cool. Buy what is going to satiate your FOMO. Seriously. If NVIDIA is it for you, do it, man. Do it. You probably, the thing is though, is I can tell most of the time that most people are just not satisfied with NVIDIA, but they already have this preconceived notion that AMD is just such trash that if they're not happy with NVIDIA, they're definitely not going to be happy with AMD. Like they're not. I just don't think those people are ever going to be truly happy. There's always got to be something that's that they can be negative about. And I don't think that, I just don't think that you're going to be happy. If you can't find a way to be happy on NVIDIA and everything is just like, but it's more like you're not happy because like, not just like, oh my gosh, this is a trash thing and it's trash. I just think that if NVIDIA can't make you happy and like that's your strive to like have max, I don't know. AMD is not going to do it for you. Like, you really have to kind of bring your expectations down a notch to be an AMD fan. Like, you kind of do. You have to pretty much be like, okay, ray tracing, not in the cards. But once you do that though, once you're able to be like, okay, this is where I'm going to plateau. This is where it's at. Like, we're not getting any better than this. We're not getting ray blah, blah, blah. Once you actually have that mindset, it's so much happier to be happy with AMD, because then you get a good enough of ray tracing experience. Like I was just talking about with Spider-Man 2, it's like, okay, you can actually use it and it looks good. And so it's just like, oh my gosh, like this stuff is so overly, this PC stuff, guys, is so overly hyped that I think that, you know, but I mean, you like what you like. It's overhyped. I think it's overhyped. I do, because when I play on a freaking PlayStation 5 Pro, and I look at that and I'm like, dude, I wonder if, because you know how hard they have to optimize those games, and they have to fine tune and tweak visual settings that you can't even, that sometimes aren't even available on PC to make it look identical to console. Like there's just no in between, like some of the stuff, like you get low, medium, high, ultra, whatever settings on PC or whatever. But on the console, you just have these fine-tuned, meshed visual settings that you just can't get on the freaking that you just can't get on the freaking on the PC. So when you look at that and you see some of these really creative solutions to deal with some of these visual problems or even performance problems or something like that on the PlayStation 5 Pro or the Xbox Series X or just any console for that matter, anything that they have to optimize for, you find this like, okay, this looks good. Like, this is fun to play. And then immediately when you go to PC, you just see like this over-exaggerated, everything's just like super over-exaggerated, and you're just like, wow, it looks great, like it really does. It's like, whoa, man, this is mind-blowing. But then you look back and you're like, wow, but that actually looks and plays good on the PC, on the PlayStation. I don't have to worry about, I mean, it's a pretty optimized, consistent experience across the board, and you're just playing it. Like, you run into your little bugs or your little visual glitches or something like that, and stuff that people in the PC space just freak out about. And it's like, guys, it's just video games, man. Like, this shit's kind of fun sometimes. You see this stuff and like people, like the way that people freak out about stuff like shimmering or oh man. Like, I kind of just, I mean, I guess in a perfect world, I mean, I don't know. That stuff's never really mattered to me that much. Like, I just don't care. I grew up playing 8-bit regular Nintendo video games. I'm happy with the visuals I have today. Like, I'm ecstatic and blown away. This generation alone has brought me literally closer to my nirvana when it comes to video game visuals than I think I've ever gotten before in my life. And I used to be really hard on visuals. I used to, like, in the 360 generation and early PlayStation 4 generation, I mean, even throughout the end of the PlayStation 4 generation, I was just like, oh man, I just want world design to look a little better. Characters have looked good literally since 360 gen. I was just like, I just want the world to look better. When I'm out in the desert and I see like these flat, blurry textures and then like this rock face and it's all got a straight line to where they connect, and man, it looks so much better now. The environmental blending on games looks so incredible. I was sitting here yesterday because after playing Spider-Man and it kept dying on me on the PC, I turned on the PlayStation 5 and I was like, you know what? Let's look at Forspoken. And I'm sitting there in Forspoken and I'm looking at like the ground and the detail and everything, you know, just at what the PlayStation 5 Pro can do. Obviously lower resolution than what the PC can do. And I'm looking at that game and I'm like, how much experience am I really missing by playing it right here versus what I get on the PC? And I'm trying to be honest with myself. I'm like, how much of a difference does crystal clear visuals and 100 plus FPS feel on a game like Forspoken? And I'm like, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, my friends. It really is. And as much as I hate to admit that the PlayStation Bros got a point, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Gaming is changing so much, and there really is just so much negativity out there in the world today to really exacerbate that. I mean, you've got once great developers like BioWare literally falling, and it sucks. It sucks. You know, a lot of it is definitely their fault for trying to push stuff on. You know, I don't necessarily think they're trying to push stuff anymore. Like, I thought that for a while. I really did. And I was really starting to like, no, man, I'm sick of this. I'm taking a stand. But I really do think that they honestly, I don't think they're trying to really do it nefariously. I really do just think that many people work in the same building and there's, oh my gosh, I really do think that they are just trying to be inclusive. At the end of the day, I really do think that is it. That's all. That's all they're trying to do is just really be inclusive and maybe over exaggerate like other things, you know, because there really has been a long line of male white protagonists, and like I get it. I mean, I do understand it, but at the same time, it's like I don't think gamers ever really gave a shit to the point where it's like it makes a difference. I think it only hurts them more by trying to do that, just because nobody cares and there's such an emphasis on it, and it feels like there's such an emphasis on it that people are just like, no, man, we don't want that. We just want our... I really do think that it really just falls down to the characters. If they made the characters cooler, maybe that... yeah, I don't know. That's a completely... I've already made that video. But yeah, guys, how can I be so damn wrong about AMD? How can I be so wrong about Radeon? You know, as a consumer, as a friend, as a fellow gamer, how can I be so wrong to be like, look, AMD's fine. Like, I fully enjoy this experience, my friends. Like, I do have FOMO to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a content creator. I got to have freaking content. That's my FOMO, man. That's my FOMO. Dude, I'm so happy with my AMD experience. It doesn't even matter. And every time I need a reality check, I turn on my PlayStation 5 Pro. Seriously. Or I turn on my ROG Ally. Or I turn on my Xbox Series S. And I get my reality check, my friends. I literally bought a 1080p monitor because it's just like, dude, I think that we're getting so far away from actually gaming into these like company wars and all of this shit. Like, it doesn't even matter. Look, this is my final thought on it, and this is where I'm going to stand for a while. This is where I'm going to stand for a while until something changes, you know. Obviously, I do plan on getting another NVIDIA card for the channel. It will happen when it happens. Like when the 70 series cards, when the 5070 series, when the 5070, 5070 Ti, when both of those launch, I will try to get one. If I get one, boom, we'll cover it, no problem. 5080, we're past that point. We're past that point. I invested that money into the Fanatec, and obviously 9070 XT. That is a card I'm going to get regardless. I will keep trying. I'm an AMD fan. Okay, I'm gonna give AMD precedent on this channel and precedent in like coverage, but I absolutely want to see DLSS 4. I do. But I'm not going to do a 5070. 5070 Ti is where I'm going to be. I want the 16 gigs of VRAM. I'm not going to waste money on a 12 gig card. But yeah, 5070 Ti is what I'm going to buy. But in terms of like, you know, going forward with AMD, so obviously, so as what will be the next years of coverage, it will be 5070 Ti versus 9070 XT. That's where we're gonna draw the line. Boom. Doesn't even matter what the two cards cost. I'm gonna buy both of them, and we'll go. We'll just cover them, and I'll try to accentuate the things that I love about NVIDIA going forward, the things I love about AMD going forward, and we'll try to do that this way, because I can obviously play PlayStation and Xbox and find the good in both of those. It was definitely pretty tough on this generation. Started off rough, guys. It started off so hard because it's like we come into this, I've got this like 4K mindset that literally has been beaten out of me. Like I'm literally got, like I said, I got a 1080p freaking monitor because I'm so sick and tired of the resolution crap. I've got a 1080p, 1440p, and 4K, and 1440p ultra wide, because it's like, it doesn't matter what resolution you're on. As long as it's native resolution, you're fine. Like, you're not gonna notice most of it. People are gonna try to sit here and tell you that 1080p is grainy or whatever. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you got a 1080p, if you got 1080p image quality, yeah, you're good. Just set your PC to 1080p, run it on 1080p, no graininess, nothing. Same with 1440p. Now the clarity does increase every step of the way. I got a video coming out that's gonna be talking about this. But yeah, I think we're getting too far away. I think we're getting too far away, guys. And look, guys, if AMD fails, you already see where NVIDIA is going with this market. So I'm not telling you to buy AMD. I'm not. And I don't think that AMD is going to be right for everyone, to be completely honest with you. Some people are absolutely more interested in that flashy, shiny NVIDIA experience, and that's cool, bro. Like, I'm not going to try to peel you away from that. I'm not going to try to, because you do have to manage your expectations to buy AMD. Like, you do. Like you have to be okay with more VRAM. You have to be okay with just more power to do rasterized, to do the rasterized experience, and you need to be okay with those gains over what you're getting, you know, with like ray tracing and all of that stuff. Like you do have to make sacrifices to buy AMD. I'm not gonna lie to you, like you do. But I feel like the majority of gamers, honestly, I feel like the majority of gamers that buy an AMD card are going to find, after going through their games, playing their favorite games, stuff like that, I think that they're going to find more than enough reason to be like, okay, yeah, AMD's good. I think that most people would probably, I think most average people would come to the same conclusion I did, is like, okay, NVIDIA's good, but they're not so much better than AMD that I couldn't be happy on AMD. You know what I mean? And then you start to think about the other intricacies. They're like, okay, so for the same price, you know, if you listen to Hardware Unboxed, they were like, okay, well, with the 5080 coming out, AMD needs to be like $300 cheaper or something. You know what I mean? Like when they were talking about like 9070 or 7900 XTX versus 4080, when the 4080 was like $1,400 or $1,200, and they were like saying, oh man, AMD needs to come down like to $900, and then it would have been a good thing. Well, when I look at that, Even now, with 5080 and 7900 XTX literally being the same MSRP, I'm still like, okay, NVIDIA is 8% better. Yeah, you could get better ray tracing, all that stuff, but you're still stuck with 16 gigs of VRAM versus 7900 XTX that's potentially getting FSR4, has 24 gigs of VRAM. Decent, I mean, like playable ray tracing on a lot of stuff. But obviously, you're leaving path tracing on the floor, like you are. I mean, we literally just got told Spider-Man 2 was going to need a 4090 to run at 4K, and my 7900 XTX can do that. And I'm looking at that, and so I take that into consideration, and I'm like, okay, as an AMD fan, if you already are an AMD fan, you know what to expect, and you could easily move to 7900 XTX and be happy, or you could get a 5080 and try the other side. As somebody on a 30 series or under NVIDIA experience, here's my honest recommendation to you guys. Right now is your biggest opportunity to try AMD out. Hear me out. This is your biggest opportunity. Once you go NVIDIA, once you go move up to another, like a 5080, okay? Even a 4080 Super compared to anything you got on a 30 series is going to blow your freaking mind. Okay, like 4080 Super absolutely destroyed my 3080 10 gig, 100%. I love that 4080 Super. It was a great card. I just like AMD a lot more in terms of what I was playing during that time. Now going forward, we're in unknown territory because more games are going to start getting ray tracing. I think that these developers are actually starting to work out the kinks and be able to fine tune it a little bit better for games going forward. Especially after seeing Spider-Man 2, I was like, wow, this actually runs pretty decently on an AMD card. So right now we're in uncharted territories going forward. But at the same time, we're also in a spot right now, gaming-wise, to where if you're coming from 3080 or anything on the 30 series, to anything AMD. If you're coming from like 3090, you have to get XTX. You have to get 7900 XTX. But anything on like the 7900 XTX is going to give you at least 30 series ray tracing, but with that extra, that extra like boom, here you go, like that rasterization. And I think you'd be I think you'd be quite impressed with what AMD can actually deliver. People talk about the driver things. This is actually, Spider-Man 2 is actually the first time that I've ever had consistent freaking driver crash outs when trying to play this game after just a few minutes. And it wasn't like that on day one, but it has been ever since. Like the second day, it's just been, driver timeout. I've reverted back to the old driver. I've re-downloaded the new driver, the 5025. Yeah, it's just broken. The game is just broken. Like it is a game thing. I've tried everything humanly possible on my part to try to rectify it. And yeah, it's a game thing. Aside from, I'm going to try turning off ray tracing today and see how that works. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really think I'm wrong about AMD, to be completely honest with you. I do think that AMD can 100% appeal to a significant amount of gamers out there. But I also understand your concern. I do. I also understand your concern with the AMD stack, and just the amount of information that's out there is really not that good. There's really not enough AMD content creators that actually like and use AMD out there to support my claims or to back me up or to even like reach out to try to do like a podcast with that I can find anyways. I mean, there's Fabio, but I don't know, man. Like that guy, I have reached out to him to see if he'd like to like do something, but there's just not enough of them. And there's so much hype and there's so much talk about DLSS 4 right now that nobody cares to listen about what's going on with AMD right now. So hopefully this video at least kind of breaks down my thinking about how I'm feeling about AMD. Like I'm going to get 9070 XT no matter what. And I'm going to get 5070 Ti no matter what. And we're going to cover those two cards. And we're going to try to do our best to wish AMD luck on its way out, because apparently, according to my colleagues on YouTube, this is AMD's last chance to get Radeon moving. And that might be so. So we're gonna spend the next couple of years trying to show you guys the good and the bad of both AMD and NVIDIA to help you guys decide, to make a better decision. And hopefully, if AMD is smart, they will put out FSR 4 on as many previous generations as possible, as soon as possible, to help those cards and to help them gain mind share, because guaranteed if they do that, if they focused on FSR 4 on RDNA 3 first, whoo, boy, they would freaking blow it out of the water. But I don't know, man. I think everybody, it sounds like everybody's been telling AMD what to do for so long that AMD just don't listen. But then somebody like me buys AMD and I'm blown away and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on with these fellas. So, all right, guys, if you like this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. And thank you so much. If you made it this far, you are freaking awesome. And I greatly appreciate you and your dedication to the channel. You're awesome, man. Like, I absolutely believe that. And to be completely honest, man, I really do appreciate everybody that watches this channel. We've grown so much in the last in the last year. It's incredible, man. Like, it's incredible to be where we are. And I just want to continue to be real with the people that watch this channel and help you make the best decisions. Because I know we all get caught up in hype. We do. We get caught up in hype and it's like, oh my gosh, man. Like that hype FOMO for being able to like start trying out the 5080 on launch was getting overwhelming. It was getting overwhelming. But then boom, I got a reality check that like, hey, NVIDIA doesn't want to sell you that, but Fanatec does. So I was like, all right, Fanny boy. So all right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. There'll be another couple of videos out today, potentially soon. So all right, guys, have fun.